Hello, everyone. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. I want to begin by acknowledging that I'm on the traditional territory of the Kwantlen and the Tonquatchin Council. And welcome, ministers. It's great to have you here today. I'm very happy to welcome everyone to the Invest Canada North virtual presence at the 2021 Prospector and Developers Association of Canada Annual Convention. We are living through challenging times brought on by COVID-19, but we're finding ways to carry on and meet in new and innovative ways like this. I'm pleased to be here representing the Honorable Melanie Joly, Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages, who sends her best wishes. I'm the Parliamentary Secretary to CanNor, the Canada Northern Economic Development Agency. Many of you know the important role that CanNor plays in the three territories, working in collaboration with Northerners and Indigenous peoples to advance the economic potential of the territories. The North offers a wealth of sustainable economic development opportunities and vast possibilities, including resource development in the mining sector. A world-class showcase like PDAC provides an invaluable opportunity for CanNor, in collaboration with Invest Canada North, to share information with you about the opportunities and untapped mineral potential in the North. Going forward, our shared goal is to promote and develop a sustainable resource sector in the Northwest Territories, Nunavut, and Yukon, and increase investment in mineral development. A strong resource sector is the cornerstone of the Northern economy, which brings associated benefits to Territorial and Indigenous businesses. A collaborative approach to develop a resource economy helps us to tie in other considerations, such as important socioeconomic, cultural, and environmental factors. Building a vibrant, inclusive economy contributes to the resilience and sustainability of Northern communities and the overall well-being of Northerners and its Indigenous peoples. Working with Invest Canada North and other organizations to help build a diversified, sustainable, and dynamic economy across the territories contributes to economic prosperity of the North. The Government of Canada is pleased to support Invest Canada North. Northerners, Indigenous, and Territorial businesses welcome your investment and new opportunities. I look forward to participating in PDAC, taking advantage of the opportunities provided through this worldwide virtual conference, and to promoting Nunavut, Northwest Territories, and Yukon as great places to invest. Masicho Gunis Merci. Suga Sinla, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Anthony Vaccaro, and I'm the group publisher of the Northern Miner Group and managing director of Glacier's Resource Innovation Group. Welcome to our Ministers of the North roundtable discussion, where we're going to dive into key aspects of the mineral investment case for Canada's three most northerly territories, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. Now, collectively, these territories make up about 40% of Canada's landmass, but combined, they make up just 0.3% of its population. This statistic gives us a sense of the vastness of land that these three territories cover, and it also points to the extreme mineral exploration potential that goes along with sparsely populated areas that are already known to be minerally rich. That mineral wealth has recently been highlighted by Agnico Eagle's $286 million purchase of TMAC's Hope Bay mine, which will give it 3 operating mines in Nunavut. We've also seen the recent commissioning of Victoria Gold's Eagle Gold Mine in the Yukon. And of course, there are the 3 great diamond mines of the Northwest Territories, Ekati, Diavik, and Gahcho Kué. Now, to further develop the investment opportunity in Canada's North, each of the territories has partnered with one another and teamed up with the federal government to form a 3-year initiative, Invest Canada North. It's an initiative that is connecting global investors to the unique competitive advantages found in Canada's North. Joining me today to discuss those unique advantages are the Honorable Ranj Pillai, Deputy Premier, Government of Yukon, Minister of Energy, Mines and Resources, and Minister of Economic Development. We're also joined by the Honorable Caroline Wozniak, Minister of Finance, Minister of Industry, Tourism and Investment, including responsibility for the Business Development and Investment Corporation, and is Minister responsible for the status of women. And finally, we're joined by the Honorable David Akagok. David was elected in 2017 and serves as Deputy Premier, Minister of Economic Development and Transportation, Minister responsible for Mines, Minister responsible for the Nunavut Business Credit Corporation. Welcome to all three of you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we go right into the heart of the matter? We definitely want to give our audience more clarity and actionable thoughts and what their true investment thesis is around the Northern Territories. And this Invest Canada North is a very, I think, important initiative. So why don't we start by speaking directly to that? And maybe we'll just go in the order of introduction. So we'll start with Ranj. Ranj, what role is your government playing in the Invest Canada North initiative, and why is it important to the Yukon?
Well, thanks, Anthony. And just to start off, it's great to be here on the traditional territory of the Kwanlin Dun First Nation and the Tonquatchit Council for this discussion today, and fantastic to be with my colleagues, both Caroline and David. We've come together to really to tell our story about the North, and the Yukon government, along with the other two territorial governments in Canada, really saw this opportunity to collectively tell our story, amplify our voice to the rest of the world. But also, there's so many characteristics and values that we share, even though there's uniqueness across the territories.
Thank you very much. Minister Wozniak, over to you. Specifically, what is the Canada North Initiative mean to Northwest Territories? Why is it important to your region?
Yeah, thank you and good morning. I'm speaking to you this morning from Yellowknife, which is the traditional territory of the Yellowknife-Steny First Nation and Chief Dragi's territory. This initiative is really important for us, all the same reasons that you've already heard from Ranj, but I'm going to add to it. For a lot of us up north, we know very well the tremendous opportunity. We see it all around us, geological opportunity and human opportunity that really we're surrounded by. And this is a chance for us to present our united voice on that, to act as partners that north of 60 collectively has so much to offer. And it's actually, I think, a bit of a hidden gem. Those that are already here are seeing tremendous returns on their investments, but there's so much more that is here that people haven't necessarily heard about. So it's really a chance to get the word out that the north of 60 is really the next place to be, I think, in the future of investment. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. And David, over to you. I started off on the top. The big news in the last month was Agnico's acquisition of TMAC. Things looking very good for Nunavut. How does Invest Canada North feed into the aspirations for Nunavut?
The aspirations for Nunavut. I'm here right now in Nunavut right now, and trying to get some development throughout the territory. This is one part of the country that's yet to be explored as much as it should be, and I think the timing is now with our settlement of the land claims and our government maturity. We've been a government since 1999. I think we've been trying to drum up development here, and as you mentioned, the TMAC acquisition was one good step in through our processes. What we're trying to do is attract people.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Carrying on from there, I think it's safe to say that spurring on more investment and more exploration in Canada's north is tied not only to the geological potential, which is definitely there, but it's also tied to the rules around land use, and it's also tied to the infrastructure issues. So I thought maybe we could tackle each one of those. So again, Mr. Pillai, over to you.
Sure, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, I think many, even at a global level, know the history of mining in the Yukon, and it really goes back to the discovery in outside of Dawson City in Bonanza Creek, but also pretty significant history when it comes to gold exploration and gold recovery with the famous Keno Silver District's history here. Really, for us now, we've seen this commodities surge over the last year with some uncertainty caused by COVID, and so if we're seeing big moves, of course, towards gold, silver, copper, some of the things that have all been really, I mean, our 3 operating mines now, that's their focus. But I think what's important for folks to know, there's over 2,700 mineral occurrences in the Yukon. We're seeing a real move towards critical metals. We know that's an important future for all territories. So I think it's also important for folks that are listening today to understand, we have significant zinc, nickel, tungsten, platinum group metals, and cobalt as well here in the Yukon. So those are all going to be some of the key targets, I think, as we move forward and we see the industry globally change, and really we try to ensure that we have the appropriate commodities at our fingertips to pivot the way we are when it comes to clean energy and EV technology and such.
Thanks, Raj. I think a really important note to hit, obviously, the incredible history with the Keno district and the Klondike with gold and silver, but much more there. And Caroline, over to you with the Northwest Territories. Most global investors think of diamonds with the Northwest Territories. I alluded to the 3 big mines, but of course the story isn't limited to just that. I've visited zinc projects out in the Northwest Territories. There's great gold there as well. Why don't you fill our investor audience a little bit in on what the full basket of mineral potential is in the Northwest Territories?
Yeah, thanks. I think we cover really a full spectrum, both in terms of covering from early stage exploration to the early stage development, right up to the fully operating mines, as you've already noted, and similarly a full spectrum of offerings in terms of our geological potential. We certainly have a particularly strong area up the Slave Geologic Province, which is an area that we're really focusing a lot of our own scientific efforts on. A lot of our infrastructure work is looking into that area. Because we have everything here from the diamonds, as you've mentioned, and there's still exploration happening. There's still potential for diamond development far and away beyond what is happening at the 3 big mines right now. There's also the gold, which is our historic, really what opened us up historically here in the north. As you mentioned, there's zinc, but then there's also all the future technology minerals. So we're similarly really looking at where we're going to land on the critical mineral value chain. I think we are actually well positioned to be on that value chain. We've got lithium, cobalt, rare earths. Some of those projects already are underway, but there's exploration happening. So, really a full suite of opportunities and really covering the full spectrum from north to south in the territory, and particularly in the Slave Geologic.
Excellent. Thank you, Caroline. I alluded to having the privilege of being in Northwest Territories. I should say I've had the privilege of being each one of these territories. Maybe that's why I was honored to be asked to moderate this. I've seen wonderful projects in the Yukon, and I've been to Meadowbank in Nunavut. So David, over to you. Nunavut right now grabbing a lot of headlines, like Nico, one of the world's foremost gold companies, investing a lot in the people and in the ground in Nunavut. Take us through what you see as the geological potential of Nunavut right now.
The potential mineral exploration. I think we currently got the iron ore and 3 gold mines that are active here in the vast land, and there's a lot more that yet to be explored, and there are known areas, but the infrastructure seems to be the barrier. One of the good things that within our territory is that our Aboriginal groups, our Inuit organization, has stepped up and have requested to build a road from our coast to connect to the Northwest Territories, and within that area is a very rich, minerally rich area, part of our territory, and something that our Inuit organizations want to continue to explore and expand.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Well, you've hit upon it. The infrastructure is such a key piece. Really, at this stage, the mineral wealth of Canada's North is not in doubt. What investors want to know is how is it going to be accessed in an economic way. If you've touched upon that with Nunavut, let's come back over to Ranj. There has been some recent announcements around investments around roads to Dawson City, the Gateway project. Can you get us up to speed, Ranj, on what's happening in the Yukon on the infrastructure front?
Sure. We're looking at a really busy year in 2021. I guess I'll start with Gateway. Of course, we already have 5,000 kilometers of all-weather road. We made a commitment a number of years ago in partnership with industry as well as the federal government to roll out almost $500 million in new road build and road improvement. There's 5 agreements in place right now with a number of First Nations. They will lead to key infrastructure upgrades in areas where we have some of our biggest opportunities right now. By the time this airs, there'll be a number of announcements that have been made, actually, just around the corner. So folks will have an opportunity to take a look at that as well. So really just making sure that our next mines are being developed, that we have new improvements there. And then with the same focus as my partners, looking at where some of our biggest exploration potential is. So I think we have about $250 million in agreements in place. And again, by the time this airs, we'll have some other news that's out on the wire. We're also in the midst of we finished the regulatory process to build a 777 kilometer fiber line, which will go from Dawson City all the way to the Northwest Territories. That's a big piece of infrastructure that we need in place. As we know, all the major modern miners are looking for the most innovative ways to run their mines. And in many cases, having those fiber connections with redundancy is going to be key. So that begins to be built again this spring, and it's a real quite an undertaking. Excellent.
Thank you, Ranj. Caroline, over to you. I know roads are a big priority in the Northwest Territories. Can you give us more insight on the infrastructure development within your territory?
Yeah, sure. And it's not just roads. It really is all of the various options for infrastructure. Right now, our government was mandated to come up and to advance 3 very significant infrastructure projects: the Slave Geologic Province Road, which would connect us up into Nunavut. So really connecting those 2 territories through a critical area of mineral development and mineral exploration. Another one is the Tolston Hydro Project, which we've also been mandated to advance. Right now, we're developing our business case on that. This is so the Tolston Hydro facility is already operational, already providing clean hydro energy to the south part of the territory, but looking for a way to actually expand that and bring it up, and hopefully be bringing it up again up towards the Slave Geologic and into the northern parts of the territory. So bringing clean hydropower up into a lot of our mineral-rich areas. And the other one that we're looking at, of course, is the Mackenzie Valley Highway. So right now, we have winter roads that connect, so frozen ice roads that connect all the way up the valley of the Northwest Territories, but looking, and we've been slowly over time building up each year an all-season, all-weather road, but really looking now to advance that so that it's connected permanently. So rather than just having it piecemeal, we're looking to have a permanent connection all the way up to the Arctic coast.
Excellent. Thank you, Caroline. And Caroline, let's stay with you because I know that the regulations around land use is a big topic right now in the Northwest Territories. I believe there's going to be something released on that in the coming year. Can you give our audience some insight around that, around maybe current regulatory environment and what the government's trying to achieve on that front?
Yeah, so a lot of exciting things happening on our regulatory environment. Our regulatory system right now is a combination of federal jurisdiction and territorial jurisdiction, and continuing to devolve and gain more control here within the territories. But in the meantime, working well with the federal partners to make sure that we're streamlining together in terms of the different areas of jurisdiction.
Excellent. Thank you, Caroline. David, over to you. Can you give us a picture of the regulatory environment in Nunavut?
Our regulatory regime has been shaped through the creation of our land claims. It defines of how development will be processed and through regulations. So a lot of the work that comes here is we have a very defined how development will show, and if you could take and get educated through that, whether it's through the Nunavut Impact Review Board or the Water Board or the Nunavut Planning Commission, through those, each of those have processes that defines and gives the scope in terms of how the work can get developed in here.
Very, very strong points. Thank you for that, David. So Ranj, over to you. What do investors need to understand about the regulatory regime in Yukon?
Well, I think that, like my counterparts from the other 2 territories, really the regulatory regime that's been in place ends up becoming an advantage when you look at investors looking for appropriate ESG, deployment of their capital. And what we've seen here is In 2003, we went through a process to ensure that we had legislation at the federal level put in place, and that's our Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Act. And that's really the foundation of what happens. It brings both the federal, territorial, and First Nations governments together in a hands-off approach to having an appropriate EA process. And now what we're hearing is that this is what investors are looking for, that real accountability, integrity in a system.
Fantastic. Well, we're hearing this word partnership is coming up in this conversation quite a bit. I think partnerships are probably the foundation of the North's mineral industry. And all three of you touched upon partnerships with regards to partnerships between the government and Indigenous communities. So maybe, Caroline, let's bring it back to you. What can you tell us about how those relationships are built and then fostered, and what it means for the Northwest Territories and why investors should care about that?
I think this is one of the biggest single advantages we have, aside from the fantastic geology, but really it's one of the things that makes us the most unique and really makes us in North of 60 unique. I think I would say that this is where the partnership between the three territories comes full force, because we can partner as three territories because we take a similar view in terms of how we're evolving and how we're really going to move forward having mineral resource sector development. There are very strong Indigenous governments in the North, across the North and in the Northwest Territories, who themselves are looking for opportunity. They want equity opportunities, equity participation. They want to be involved. They want to support companies that are coming in and looking for opportunity to explore and develop mineral resource sector projects. So knowing that there's that drive and that hunger, I think, is a real advantage.
Excellent, excellent. And David, you touched upon the importance of those partnerships within Nunavut. Can you give us more detail and more thought and color around that, around what those relationships between Indigenous communities and the government looks like, and how critical they are to how you develop the mineral resource sector?
Yes, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Any development that's going to take place requires that there be an Inuit impact and benefit agreement with our Inuit organization and the developers. And those are well defined and available in terms of publicly available. So whenever a developer comes in, they know what they're getting into, what kind of impacts that's going to happen to our people in around their development area, and what kind of benefits can be provided to the territory, to the Inuit organizations.
Excellent. Yeah, the timing does look very good right now on many fronts. Ranj, over to you in the Yukon. Maybe if you can help. Going by my memory, the 11 First Nations. There's some unique things around that. Can you update us on what Indigenous relations between Indigenous communities and the government currently looks like in the Yukon?
Yeah, absolutely. There's, as you stated, there's 11 self-governing First Nations, and there's 3 other nations that are still that work collectively with us, that are still in the regime under Indian Act. And I think you get the flavor from all 3 of us. I mean, we don't, we only move forward if we're in partnership with our First Nation governments, and that's the key to the North. We have to make sure that our folks, both in our sort of urban centers as well as in our rural areas, are seeing real benefits from these projects, and that they have opportunities to increase their quality of life, or to be part of what's happening with some of this growth. Excellent.
I thank each of you, Minister Pillai, Minister Wozniak, Minister Gaycock, for such a fulsome discussion of really going into great detail as to what the competitive advantages of Canada's North are, how important relationships and partnerships with the Indigenous communities are, and what the actual geological and mineral wealth potential is. So thank you very much for your time. We hope the audience got as much out of it as I did in hosting it. So thank you all, and have a very healthy, safe, and productive 2021.